Ed from Pinball Mayhem here. I'm just going to give you a quick project I picked up. I'm not doing a full series on this. I'm going to do a few videos, but it's a Donkey Kong Jr. cabinet. I have the marquee up here, and in my final video, I'll do the before and after pictures. This thing was trashed. This is a true barn find. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I had to do to get it here. One reason, two reasons why I didn't doing full videos on this. One is when the game came here, it was just so filled with mouse and carcasses and nests. I needed to clean that out before I can store it for a while. Second thing is I got too many projects going right now, and I need to kind of quickly do this, and I don't want to kill myself having a video every step. So just decided to say, hey, I got this. I threw some pictures up on Facebook and Instagram, so make sure to find us there. And you can see kind of our little between project videos. So let's talk about, I'm gonna just go through the whole cabinet about what I had to do and what I'm doing. So on the top, I ended up cleaning this really good. I cleaned the whole cabinet really good. I cleaned this really good, and I painted it. There was full of rodent turds on the whole top of it. Cleaned it off. You're seeing the wood grain. Normally this is not a restoration. This is a fix up as far as I'm considering. Inside here, I cleaned this very well. I even hit with a little bit of sandpaper. That's a good way to clean it. I was going to replace the bulb in the starter, not available locally. I can get it from arcade shops. This is a 13-inch, 10-watt, like a T8 diameter bulb. And this starter is a little screw-in. It looks like it screws in like a light bulb. And might be operated, so I am putting a just standard LED fixture in. These are cheap, $10, and I'm going to wire that into the original wiring. Now this and the monitor are both powered by 100 volts. So before you wire this in, plug it into the service outlet in the game. Make sure it works on 100 volts, not 110, 120. Most voltage regulators in those things are going to work fine. Monitor had to get removed. The cardboard bezel that's on the monitor had to get removed, and for cleaning. And the monitor also doesn't work. That would be a whole nother video. Control panels out for cleaning. What I did is I cleaned as best I could, then I hit everything I could with an orbital. And that's gonna kind of clean off a lot of the extra waste. You can see some of the rust here. The entire monitor tray was filled with nuts and stuff. So it was a mess. Inside here, once again, sanded every piece of bare wood. Cleaned. I ended up going through 3 buckets, 1-gallon buckets of water and a spray cleaner. Front of it I cleaned, took off all the decals because I'm ordering new ones. There's a decal here, and there's a decal here for the coinage. And the decal here, it took a little time to clean off. This strip on top was actually, the glue came off. So here's still a little bit of contact adhesive. So I cleaned it, sanded it, cleaned it carefully, glued it back down. Original piece, fits great. Monitor bezel, I got that in the basement cleaned up. This cleaned up pretty well. This coin door, I'm gonna decide what I'm gonna do with it when I get there. I am not there yet. I need to get everything else together. I did make sure everything functions as far as I could tell, but I didn't touch much on the coin door other than cleaning it. Here's the coin box. And I want to talk about T-molding before I go around the back. So, if you've seen on a lot of the T-molding sites, Nintendo has special T-molding that's squared off. And they're going to say, but that's on plywood cabinets like Donkey Kong. Somehow in Nintendo America also used particle board cabinets like on Donkey Kong Jr. and other games in that series. So this is, from what I could tell, this was an original game. It wasn't modded or anything. It was used for a while, probably had an issue and broke. Someone put it in a barn for 20 years. This is the original T-molding piece. It's fairly brittle, very brittle, that came off. Looking at the profile, it's not squared off like the Donkey Kong is, and also that's 1/2 inch thick. This is thicker. But if you put it in there, the inside edge here is flush with standard 3/4 inch. But the outside edge, and I screwed up there, don't need to talk about it, has a lip. It overhangs when you use standard 3/4 inch because this is thinner than 3/4. And if you look at this, you can see that profile, that curve, and the squared off. So the squared off gives that original Nintendo look on it. Let's see where I did a better job cutting it. Original Nintendo squared off look, but you can use standard off-the-shelf American style 3/4 inch T-molding. So if you have this and you see that offset slot there, you're like, what is going on there? Why is it offset? Measure to see if from the center of the slot to the edge is 3/8, well then 3/4 inch T-molding will fit. So I just thought that was interesting. So right now I am mid putting on this side and I'm mid trimming this. I'm using, the method I'm using is not the greatest. So I'm using a knife and I'm putting a very thin putty blade up to it and using that putty blade as a guide. But I screwed up down here, kind of disappointed. I don't want to replace all the T-molding. So I'm going to keep going and maybe I'll replace it again someday. Trying not to cut the orange off. The problem is there's some swelling at the bottom of the cabinet. I do not want to start shaving it off. If this was a full restore, sand down, repaint, that'd be different. But repainting's been kind of kicking my butt lately, so stay away from that. Interesting keychain, a little leather sandal. But one thing I want to point out, the keys are tubular lock, but they're both, it's hard to read, Japan, Tokyo, Japan, and their brand TAKIGEN. So I believe that they're original keys. I don't, from what, I haven't done any research on that, but both, I got a key for both locks, front and back door. Let's go over the back door. Once again, I cleaned it the best I could. I sanded it the best I could, just quickly. I don't go hog wild, but it's going to get that outer layer of dust. This chunk of paper, I believe I have. That's why I save everything you find in the bottom of the cabinet when you're vacuuming it out. And backside of the door cleaned up pretty good. I did remove the decals on the side right away. And that's because they were very faded and they were just, you touch them and they're flaking off all this, the color. I figure I'd rather have some, I'm trying some cheap decals from eBay, I think 40 bucks a set. I'm gonna see how they work. So I figured I'd rather put some cheap decals on than have the ones that were on there. And there's still some adhesive I need to clean off. I need to do that before they come. And the decal goes under the bolts and the bolts are supposed to have a shiny head. So I'm gonna that's another reason why you wanna take the monitor out. The monitor comes out pretty easily. There's 2 screws here and here. And then there's 2 screws that go through the bottom through here and there. And then there's a couple plugs. The audio goes through here, so you got 2 plugs for that. And you got the power, and so you make sure you unplug it properly, take a lot of pictures. But you know, you got what, maybe 5 plugs and 4 screws, and you pull the monitor out. I think I went out through the front or back. I can't remember which way I went. Let's look at the back a little bit. We got our Nintendo America sticker nameplate. Back I didn't repaint. I just repainted the top and the base. The base, I ended up having to glue and clamp it. I didn't bother like filling it in. Here is the original adjustment sticker. I did clean this best I could. I had everything removed out of here for cleaning and sanding. So like the bottom, I sanded underneath the power supply block. I turned this upside down. I blew everything out, blew the boards, everything out, sanded everything I could. I got back in there with my orbital. And then last thing I did before I assembled it is I sprayed the crap out of it, out of Nature's Miracle, which will help neutralize the spray. Sanded the bottom side of this. You can see that mouse, and there's heavy rust on the bottom of the monitor. I just ended up hosing that off and scrubbing it. The monitor is going to be a whole nother story. I'm going to get everything else going except for the monitor and then go from there. Everything else together at least, because I can't test anything because I don't even know if it plays blind because the audio goes through the monitor. It has an audio amp on that. You can see what the power supply bricks look like. We have our different voltage adjustments coming in there. It's set for 120. And you got an outlet. The plug closest to us that's vacant is the monitor, and the white plug is the marquee, which I am going to have to reuse the cord and try not to cut as much as possible. There's an on-off switch right here with my finger, and that's all protected. So fairly well put together cabinet. Also another thing, not zip ties everywhere. These little, let's see, get another picture of it. Those little rubber guys, and they're wound tightly around. I took plenty of pictures before I disassembled anything. Here, this is what holds the board in. Two wing nuts, bolts. They're actually not nuts, they're bolts. And the board sits in the groove. So last thing I did, let me back up a little bit, is that base had the back broken off of it. So what I did is I ended up laying it on its back, blocked it up, glued it back together with about a dozen clamps, and re-glued it together after that. I ended up doing a couple glues. I used Gorilla Glue on the corners and everything. And then when I was done, I painted it just black. I didn't go and start filling in wood and stuff like that. I just wanted to get a nice even black. Like I said, this isn't a restoration. There was enough wood there where it's strong. And when I was painting the bottom, that's when I decided to paint the top. Paint was out, brush was out. Took me a whole, it was a satin black latex. It took me a whole extra 10 minutes to do 2 coats on the top and 2 coats on the bottom. So that is going to conclude Donkey Kong Jr. for right now. But I will do another video when it's almost together. My monitor, show off that marquee light, how it looks, and have to decide on the monitor and the coin door. Those are probably bigger projects. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, hit that little notification bell so that you can be notified when we got new videos up. We have one at least a week, so hope to see you there.